and they know, yeah, hey, dinner bell's ringing, and so they get very active during the time when the tide starts coming in. Steller sea lion right over here, our very first one of the day. Most of the Steller sea lions around here are males. So when he surfaces, look for the ear flaps on the side of his head. And what I like about Steller sea lions is they kind of remind me of a Labrador dog. And they're also very playful that way too. They're really fun. There's a sea otter, and they like to float on their backs, you see? Right over. Yeah, I see. Okay, and they are kind of shy, so we want to be careful about approaching them. They like to float on their backs, and when they eat, they put their food right on their chest. And sometimes they'll use a tool to crack open the sea urchin. And the way they stay warm is by the hair. They have, in some areas on their body, a million hairs per square inch. It's just amazing.
See, there was something out. See, there's something way out there in the water, like a whirlpool.
Diving in Alaska is surprisingly beautiful. A lot of people think that it's gray or dark, but the reality is that it is very colorful. It is a great place, and there are lots of very interesting stuff to see. Every time I go diving here, I am surprised myself of how large most of the invertebrates are here. These waters are surprisingly rich. That's why there is so much whales. That's why there are killer whales and the humpbacks and everything. Because of that, the waters are not very clear. There is a lot of plankton. They are so rich that the waters are kind of murky. They are very green. But that's good. It's a good green. It's a good murky because that's a lot of life in the water. When I go diving, I take with me this high-definition underwater camera, which is a regular video camera inside this housing. And this is a very sophisticated piece of equipment. By having the camera inside, I can take it down below, and also I am able to use all the functions from outside. It's a great little tool, and this is the thing I do to bring these images back for everyone to see back in the lounge.
Today, Glacier Bay is part of one of the last of the largest internationally protected wilderness areas we have left on the planet. Today, you are in a rare place not just because we can learn how life returns or because we can see glaciers and hopefully pieces of ice fall in the water, but because you can have what wilderness offers. It's a rare commodity these days. Wilderness can offer you a sense of solitude. Wilderness can offer you the ability to hear natural sound. Wilderness can offer you the ability to be humbled by nature. It also is a place where people come and enrich their souls. That's really hard to define. Wilderness is something that's important to people for many different reasons. Today, you are in one of those places where you are able to look around and have the wonder of nature revealed to you. It gives you a sense of awe. The glaciers in Alaska tell the story not only of ice ages and the snowfall and the amount of snow that stays year-round, but they also talk about the climate. What we are seeing in Glacier Bay, which is a place that we've been studying the melting of ice since we first realized that this glacier had melted back so quickly, what we've seen recently is a rapid decrease in the thickness of many of our glaciers. From 2000 until 2009, the Grand Pacific Glacier alone has lost 50 feet of thickness all over its 35-mile length. That is because of the increased temperatures during the melting season. That is because of climate change. Climate change has varying effects in this part of the world. Some of them have to do with the oceans themselves. So as the glaciers melt and they dump a tremendous amount of fresh water into this system, there are chemical oceanographers who believe that the fresh water alone is changing the pH. Not only that, but the additional CO2 in the atmosphere is also changing the pH in the oceans. Small little animals called forams that are making calcium carbonate shells are unable to produce those shells. And that might not seem like an alarm bell, but that's what feeds the salmon. It's one of their main food items. So if those animals can't survive and the salmon have nothing to feed on, imagine what will happen to the bear populations, etc., that come to this area for that rich food resource.
This morning we are here at Tenaki Inlet on Chichagof Island, and we're watching a very special event. We're watching a group of 7 humpback whales that are feeding cooperatively. They are expelling bubbles and creating a net that encircles a school of herring, and then they come up together at the surface and feed on the herring. It's a very spectacular event that only happens here in Southeast Alaska. It's a very small group of whales. In fact, the researchers estimate about 75 whales that do this behavior here and nowhere else. So this is a truly unique event, and it's something marvelous to watch. We are also using a hydrophone to listen to the whales, because when they are doing this net of bubbles, one individual is making a sound, like a call, maybe as a way to coordinate the whole group, and then we're able to listen to that call, and by listening to the changing pitch, we can more or less predict when the whales are going to come up to the surface. The problem is that we don't know where they are coming to the surface, so it's a very exciting thing, and we are looking all around trying to see the bubbles and then get ready for a picture. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch.
We've had the most extraordinary week. We've seen more than we could possibly hope for. And I'm hoping that when people go home, they can keep with them that renewed sense of childlike wonder and awe with the natural world. I hope our guests have reawakened their conservation ethic, and that will stay with them when they get home. It's so important to keep what we have, and if we can, even improve it. And thank you again for traveling with us on the National Geographic Seabird, and hopefully we'll meet again in some other beautiful part of the world.
Oh!